Today, we're diving into an absolutely incredible ancient text that basically claims to be the blueprint for our entire universe. We're talking about the Brahmanda Purana. But let's kick things off with a pretty big question. How would you do it? In an age way before computers, before servers and hard drives, how would you even begin to record, well, everything? The creation of the cosmos, the history of every king, the family trees of the gods, the very moral fabric of a society. Well, for ancient India, the answer was just brilliant. They didn't just write it all down. No, they wove it into a grand, interconnected story. They created the Puranas, these huge literary works that are essentially encyclopedias of everything you could ever want to know. And for our journey today, we're going to be using one of the oldest and most detailed of them all as our guide, the Brahmanda Purana. This text is going to be our key to understanding exactly how these incredible archives of knowledge were built. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what these ancient encyclopedias really are. Then, we're going to uncover their secret 5-point blueprint. After that, we'll see that blueprint in action with an amazing saga about kings. And finally, we'll talk about why these ancient stories still matter so much today. All right, let's dive right in. First things first, what exactly is a Purana? Okay, so think of them like a transmission system. You've got the Vedas, these core sacred texts with incredibly deep, often pretty complex philosophical knowledge. The Puranas take all that wisdom and repackage it into these engaging stories, histories, and tales that everyone could understand and remember, not just a handful of scholars. So how on earth did they organize these massive, massive texts? This is where it gets really clever. You see, the Puranas aren't just some random collection of myths. Nope, they follow a very specific, ancient blueprint. And that blueprint has a name, the Pancha Lakshana. It literally means the 5 distinguishing marks. Honestly, you can just think of it as a mandatory table of contents. If you wanted your text to be considered a major Purana, it had to cover these 5 essential topics. And get this. This isn't some modern theory that academics came up with later. The Brahmanda Purana, just like the other major Puranas, tells you its own structure right there in the introduction. The blueprint is literally built into the text. This 5-point structure is amazing. It maps everything from the cosmic level all the way down to the human level. Let's walk through it. First up, you have Saga. This is the primary original creation of the universe. The Puranas describes it as being, or Sat, emerging from a state of non-being, Asat. It's the universe waking up. Then you get Pratisarga, the endless cycles of destruction and recreation, like a cosmic rhythm of death and rebirth. Next is Vamsha, the family trees of the gods and the great sages, the divine lineage. After that, Manvantara, these are the vast cosmic ages that frame all of history. And finally, number 5, Vamsanucaritam, the detailed histories of the human royal dynasties, which brings this huge cosmic story right down to earth. It is a complete map from the very first spark of creation all the way to the king's throne room. And you don't have to take my word for it. The text itself explains the goal. It says right in the introduction that the wisdom you might struggle to find in the Vedas, well, you can also get it right here, in a way that helps you make your life well-rounded. It was designed to be useful, to be accessible, and to really change you. Okay, so we have this incredible map, this blueprint from the unmanifest all the way to humanity. But what does that actually look like in practice? Let's see how the Purana uses just one of those points, that 5th one, the history of kings, to tell its story. The part of the Brahmanda Purana we're looking at is a perfect example of Vamsanucaritam. And it's not some dry list of names and dates, oh no. It's a full-blown moral and historical epic. So our story kicks off with this really powerful king, King Sagara. But he's got a problem. His son, Prince Osamanjas, is a real terror. So cruel, in fact, that he was throwing the children of his own people into the river. For this, the king had to banish his own son, which is a powerful lesson on justice and a king's duty to his people. But then the drama really kicks into high gear. A sacred horse, one that's totally essential for a big royal ritual, gets stolen. King Sagara commands his 60,000 other sons to find it, no matter what it takes. And right there, an epic quest begins that will literally change the face of the planet. So in this frantic search, the sons don't just look around. They start to dig. And they dig so deep and so wide, the Purana tells us, that they actually carve out the massive depressions that would eventually become the world's oceans.
I mean, the name for ocean in Sanskrit, Sagara, is even said to come from them, the sons of King Sagara. It's just wild.
And that is what makes the Puranas so incredibly powerful. This isn't just some fantasy tale. Inside this one story, you get a lesson on how to be a good ruler, a mythological origin for the word ocean, and this sweeping adventure. It's history, mythology, and morality all rolled into an unforgettable package. So this brings us to the big picture. Why should we care about all this today? This ancient structure, these old stories. What is their real lasting legacy? You have to understand, the Puranic method wasn't just about telling cool stories. It was a truly revolutionary form of information technology. It was a highly advanced system for organizing, preserving, and passing down huge amounts of critical data from one generation to the next. And just look at the sheer range of data they were storing. We're talking royal family trees that act as historical records, deep moral and ethical teachings, theories about how the cosmos works, maps of cultural geography, and really profound philosophical ideas. It's all in there. The absolute genius of it was the delivery system. By wrapping all of this information up in compelling stories, the authors made sure the knowledge would survive. A good story is just so much more memorable and resilient than a boring list of facts. It's basically human-centric data storage. And ultimately, when you step back and look at this entire blueprint for a universe, it reveals something really profound about us. It shows this deep, timeless human need to understand where we come from and to see our own little lives as being part of a much larger, much more meaningful story. Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We live in an age where we are just drowning in data, in disconnected facts and figures. So what can we learn from an ancient culture that chose to organize its entire world, not through spreadsheets, but through stories?